Hi there, welcome to the new session. In the previous session, we have started Unit 5 and we discussed about the strategy perspectives with respect to entrepreneurship, and we discussed the growth strategies like market penetration, market expansion, product expansion strategy, growth strategy, and acquisition of the other companies. And also, we have started the valuation challenge in entrepreneurship. So we have started that, and we discussed up to some of the difficulties that has been attached in valuing a business. So now let us continue that session. The valuation challenge in entrepreneurship. So what is a valuation? Valuation is the process of determining the economic value of a business or company. It reflects both past performance and expectations of future performance. Valuation can be arrived through objective analysis, but the final price is that at which the seller is willing to sell and the buyer willing to buy. So that's what the valuation. Valuation is the process of determining the economic value of a business or a company. So finding out valuation means finding out the value, finding out the value, which value means economic value means the economic in the sense the financial in terms of monetary. So finding out the economic value of a business is nothing but valuation. So how do we evaluate that economic value mean? So based upon the past performance and expectations of future performance, right? So the past performance and the expectations of future performance. So means in previously how we have performed and in future what we are going to perform, or according to our plans, we'll have plans for future, right? So what we are going to do in future. So on that basis, we are going to analyze the economic value of the business. And usually valuation can be done on the basis of objectives, right? So let us see what are their objectives. So objectives is how we are raising the finance, how we are raising the finance in order to start the business. And once if you start the business, how do we allocating the funds and how we are getting the funds in order to run our day-to-day life, day-to-day business activities, and to meet certain kind of long-term business activities, and how we are getting the finance either through equity in the sense uh, your own capital, or you go for share capital, or you borrow loans. So all those things, how you raise the finance, that is one of the objective that they usually check. And they'll ensure how well we are able to will manage to pay uh, those finance, and means from where we have got the money. And they'll check and or ensure adequate return on investment. Suppose if you have invested, if the company is having certain investments, so then the adequate return on investment also will be checked. And also sometimes some of the factors like bank negotiations, so buying out the shares, creating share options for the values, so all these things also will be considered. And it is useful to have several valuation methodologies to determine the valuation, and no valuation method should be used in isolation. So below are some of the methods that used to suggest when you are using this. Okay, so the difficult issues often attached to valuing a business are intangible assets. So what are intangible assets? When we are discussing goods and services, we understood what is intangibility. So when we are knowing about the services, I mentioned services are intangible in nature. So means which you can't see and which you can't touch, right? So that intangible assets, first of all, you need to analyze the fact of the difficult issues. Whenever you are valuing a business, so it would be difficult for you to analyze or difficult for you to value the intangible assets, right? So intangible assets can be determining the value of the business quite tricky. It would be difficult, it would be tricky, or it would be difficult for you to determine the value with respect to intangible assets. So what are intangible assets? So intangible assets are nothing but which you can't see. Suppose if a building is there, or if plant and machinery is there, so that you can see, that you can know yes, a particular asset is there. Suppose if brand value is there, can you able to know that? Can you able to quantify it. Suppose if asset is there, you can quantify it. But if brand value is there, can you quantify it? You can't quantify. So that kind of assets are nothing but intangible assets, right? So all those comes under intangible property, sorry, intellectual property. So intellectual properties. So what are intangible assets? Intangible assets are nothing but the intellectual properties. So what comes under these intellectual properties? Intellectual properties are ranging from patents to trademarks and copyrights, and all these will impact the business, right? So all these intellectual properties like patent rights, copyrights, right? uh, Trademarks, brand image or brand value. So all these are comes under intangible assets. So these intangible assets are very difficult for you to give value. So there would be impact. There will be huge impact in whenever you are valuing the business, right? So these intangible assets are notoriously difficult to value. It is very difficult for you to find the value of those assets, those intellectual properties like trademarks, copyrights, brand image or brand value. So all those things, right? Royalty. Next, that is first difficulty for you to find the value of a business. Now, second one is product diversity. So product diversity is the one which you find difficult in finding the value of a business. So one of the important valuing of a business is not with is it doesn't lie with only one product or one service, right? So if you have that, we can say that it is much risk. It will have much risk. And then if the organization is having multiple products or services, right? Products having products or services, diversity will play a role in most valuations, right? Right. I think you got the point what I'm explaining. When I'm saying the growth strategies, I explained you about diversification. If you are having if your products are diversified or if your company is diversified, then it would be very easy for you to minimize the risk. So if you are depending on a single product or a service, it would be much riskier. It would be greater risk than the multiple products or services. If you are having multiple products or services, uh, the, then the diversity will play a major role in most of the valuations. And one more important thing, if you are having multiple products, if your products are diversified, so then it would be difficult for you to value of the business. If one product is failure and other product is succeeded in the market, then how do you value that brand image, right? One is a successful product and other one is a failure product, then how do you find out the value of that particular business? So that is difficult. So that is an issue, attached in valuing a business, that is product diversity. And coming to third important factor, that is ESOP ownership. A company that is owned by its employees can present evaluators with a real challenge. Whether partially or completely owned by employees, the situation can restrict marketability and in turn impact value. Means ESOP ownership means, so ownership lies with the employees, a part or total, part or partially or fully, the ownership is lies with the employees. In such cases, it is difficult for you to value the business, right? Suppose if it is if a company is owned by its employees, and the evaluators will find difficulty in order to find the value of the business, right? So if you see, employees may not be uh, totally aware about the business or totally know the things that are happening in the organization, and employees may new employees may enter and old employees may exit. So all these factors, all these may give you a difficult situations or difficult conditions for you to analyze the value of the business. So whether it is partially or completely owned by the employees, so the situation can restrict marketability and in turn the impact value, right? So this is one of the difficulty for you to find out the value of the business. And one more factor, that is critical supply sources. Supply sources. If a business particularly vulnerable to supply disruptions, for example, using a single supplier in order to achieve low cost competitive advantage, then expect the evaluator to take notice. The reason is that a supply disruption could mean the business competitive edge is subject to change and thus vulnerable. So when supply is at risk, then there could be a disruption of delivery, and evaluators will notice this factor, right? So critical supply sources. Critical supply sources. Here, supply sources means, take an example for you. The supply sources are, if the one who is supplying you the raw material. Suppose if your business is a textile business, so now cotton is raw material for that, right? Cotton is raw material for that. The one who is supplying you the cotton plays a critical role here in evaluating. Suppose if you depend on a single supplier, then what would be the result? If all of a sudden the things between you and the supplier were changed, right? The things between you and the supplier are changed, then what would be the result? If all of a sudden something happened with the supplier, he is unable to supply you the raw material, then what would be the result, right? Some sudden breakdowns in their production, then what would be the result of your production? So all these factors plays a crucial role. So in evaluator perspective, if you depend on a single supplier, so if there is any kind of disturbance in the delivery, then evaluators will identify this point, and based on that the value of the organization will be decreased. Suppose if you have multiple options of the suppliers, if one supplier, if you are having problem with one supplier, then you can go with the other supplier. So critical supply sources also play an important role whenever you are finding out the value attached uh, to the business. Okay. And the next important factor is customer concentration. Customer concentration. If a company has just one or two key customers, if a company has just one or two key customers, which is often the situation with many small businesses, this can seen as a serious problems. Means customer concentration means less number of customers. In the example, in this note, you can see if a company is having one or two key customers, important customers, means majority of the sales were done by those customers or were done by those clients. If something happened between you and that customer, or some always you should not assure that there will be smooth run between you and your customer. Suppose if some disturbances were rising, then so that is a serious problem with respect to the evaluators. In such cases, so many of the small businesses will face problems if there is problem with their key customers. So if a company is having just one or two key customers, they usually face a problem. Okay, so that is, these customers concentration also play an important role in finding out the value of the business. And one more factor, that is company's life cycle. So we all know the industry life cycle or the company's life cycle. So always it won't be in one point, right? So it will be in boom, it will be in recession, it will be in recovery or recession. So all these things again, it will go on a cycle, it will go on a cycle. So based upon the life cycle of that particular industry, the value of the company or the value of your business will depend, right? I think you got my point. Suppose if it is in boom, if the industry is in boom, automatically your company also will be in boom. You are also going to enjoy the profits in that boom period or in topmost period, right? Suppose if the particular industry is in recession, so obviously though you are having good things with the good environment, like good customers or good sales or good profits, so that impact will be there on your business. So you are also going to face certain kind of recessional factors. So that gives you one kind of value. Suppose if you are in boom, that gives you one kind of factor. If you are in recession, if you are in recovery, that gives you one kind of value. So based upon the situation of your industry, based upon the situation of your industry life cycle, the value of the company also will be dependent. Okay, so these are all the difficult points, these are all the difficult issues. So often a evaluator will be faced with respect to the intangible assets, with respect to the product diversity, with respect to its ownership, means ownership of the employees, and supply sources, customer concentration, and finally with the industry life cycle. So this is how a business will be valuated, right? Valuation challenge in entrepreneurship, all these are the challenges so that a business will face whenever an evaluator is assessing the value of the business. Why all these will be evaluated means to give ratings to the organization, right? So now going to the new concept, that is final harvest of new venture. New venture harvest means reaping, right? New venture means starting a new business or starting a new product, starting a new thing. So whenever we are starting a new thing, what are the harvest strategies that are involved, means termination strategies that are involved? Okay, let us see that. Final harvest of new venture. A harvest strategy involves reduction or termination of investment in a product line or line of the business so that the entities involved can reap or harvest the maximum profits, right? So if you see, if you are starting a new business or if you are starting a new product, your business is there and now you are starting a new product, you are adding a new product to your product line. So then if you are investing more on that, so this strategy will make you to terminate that investment, right? So if you keep on investing more on a particular product or more on a particular business, suppose if something goes wrong, means all your investment or all your funds will go off. So that is the reason harvest strategy will be used. So they'll cut or they'll terminate the investment to a point. So up to that only you have to invest, and whatever the profits that you are going to get, you have to repeat, means you have to enjoy it, right? So with minimum, just like optimization technique, with minimum investment getting maximum profits, right? So harvest strategy usually tends to product life cycle, based upon the product life cycle. Take an example now. Uh, if that particular in that particular product life cycle is ending, means decline state, means no purchases, no purchase for that. So investing at that time, at the end of that particular product, means at the end of declining stage. So investing money in that particular stage is an useless thing. So it won't boost your profits or it won't give you revenue. So harvesting at that time, right? So products have life cycles. At the how an industry will have life cycle, products also will have life cycle. Just like introduction, growth, maturity, and finally decline. Introduction means introducing a new product. So when you are introducing a new product, you have to struggle somewhat. More investment has to be done. At the same time, more awareness has to be created in the minds of the customers, so that you can see rise in the sales. So once in introduction, so if you are rising your sales, then you will reach growth, means growing your product. Many people may aware about your product, start very rapidly, your sales will be increased. And once this growth stage was completed, so you will get maturity means without doing any advertising also you will see certain kind of uh, sales in your products. And after some time you'll have saturated markets, means all the customers who bought your product, now no new customers would be there to buy your product, means at that stage slowly your sales will be decreased. So that is nothing but declining stage. So once at the end of the decline stage, no customer will show interest to buy your product, right? So black and white TV. So initially how will be the introduction, how will be the growth, how will be the maturity, and finally decline. Now anybody is purchasing a black and white TV, no investment on that. So that would be the product life cycle, right? So based upon that, harvesting has to be done and new ventures has to be started, right? New ventures has to be started. So product have life cycles, and when the item nears the end of the life cycle, it usually will not be benefit from additional investments. As I told you, if it is at end of the stage, so no additional investments has to be done. So this product stage is called cash cow stage. So it will be explained with BCG matrix, Boston Consultancy Group matrix. It will have four columns, one with cash cows, one with stars, one with dogs, and one with question marks, right? So at the end of the stage, we'll show it as cow stage. Okay. At the stage of cow stage, they have to harvest and they have to maximize the benefits. So how as much as profits they can reap in that particular stage, they will reap, and they'll stop investing amount on that, means decline stage. So as much as profits they can get at that stage, they'll do that, they'll follow that. So once they'll find that the profits are stopped and no use with that particular product, means it is at decline stage, then they are going to leave that product and they'll go with a new product. Okay. Here one more thing is also there. A soft drink company may terminate investments in its established carbonated product to reallocate funds to its new line of energy drinks, right? So suppose if they find that it is a decline stage for a soft drink, then they'll concentrate to develop an energy drink, right? Companies have several harvesting strategy options based upon the loyalty. Suppose based upon the brand, based upon the loyalty, so the companies will have different harvesting strategies. Some, if the brand value of that particular company has been reduced, then they would stop entirely that particular product and they won't go for new modifications or new changes in the product. Suppose if the brand value or loyalty of the customers is high, so then they'll make some changes, they'll add new things, they rejuvenate the product, and uh, they'll have uh, they'll have new modifications in the product and they'll launch, right, based upon the brand and based upon the loyalty. During harvest, the company can limit or eliminate capital expenses, and they capital expenses, what kind of capital expenses means new equipment purchase and spending on more amount spending on operations, all these things they usually restrict, they'll stop doing all those things at the end of the when they are at the stage of decline. So they'll do all these things, they'll stop purchasing new equipment, they'll stop spending more on operations. So when at that time, when they feel that this is the situation, then they'll implement this harvest strategy, they gradually eliminate the product from their product line. So though there is advancements in technology, uh, they won't accept that, they'll just eliminate it, because maintaining that old product may cost more to them, right? So maintaining the old product may cost more, so it is better to harvest that company, or sorry, harvest that product, or implement the harvest strategy, reap as much as profits they can, and finally leaving that product. So that would be called as this harvesting of new venture. And once if it is harvesting is done, again incubation has to be done, right? Incubation means just giving uh, new ideas or new thoughts, a new startup, early stage of new startups, right? So they have to start a new product, entirely new product, based upon the loyalty or based upon the brand image that we have. So incubation, business incubation is a process of support of business with growth potential. Business incubation supports the startup and early stages of the business ventures by providing them with the safe harbor, intense resources, and development environment in which they can flourish. So means they have to see which business they are going to gain more profits. In that, they have to start a new venture, they have to check whether it is a safe one or not, and they have to check resources are available in that particular field or not, or they have to check uh, development is possible in that environment, can we flourish in that environment. They have to check all these things whenever they are starting a new venture, once harvesting the existing product and starting the new one. So business incubation has to be done. So giving starting a new thing, starting a new business and starting a new one, right? I hope you understood uh, this value challenges and harvesting new venture. So in the next session we discuss the remaining concepts. We have women entrepreneurship and some of the other institutions that are supporting women entrepreneurships. In the next session we'll discuss that. Hope you all understood with this valuation challenge in entrepreneurship. What are the difficulties attached in it, like intangible product, ESOP, critical supply, customer concentration, and industry life cycle, and harvesting strategy, and starting of a new venture with the business incubation. So if you have any doubts, you can reach me. Uh, whenever you get doubts in this subject, you can just reach me. Right? Thank you.